G'day, I'm Dr. Kev, and in this video we discuss what it is that makes a car engaging. Welcome to Car Design Workshop. After my first video I got a lot of feedback, including getting into a long conversation with Geoff Pearson. So Geoff, if you're watching, this video is for you. Now Geoff was a competitor of mine when we were at university, and he happened to be the creator of probably one of the most useful, if not the most useful post that's ever been put up on the Formula SAE forums. It's something that is referenced by teams around the world. You may have read it under his pen name, Big Bird. Now after our days of competition, and despite being separated by most of the country, Geoff and I have become good friends who never settle for a few words when a mountain of philosophy could suffice. And his questions were all around where to from here. What is it that drives the design of this car that we're going to be creating? Where would I start? And how would he do the same thing? You see, it dawned on me immediately that on my very first video I had made an absolute fatal flaw in my engineering. I hadn't clearly defined the problem or what the intended goal was. By this point, Scott Wordley, another friend and the faculty advisor at Monash Motorsport, would have already had a vision statement, a plan of attack, and mobilised 100 excited people on this project. After all, engineering's a team sport. So here it goes. The goal of the project is to create the most engaging car that I can. And because engineers like this, we're going to consider the 5 most important things that I think makes a car engaging. An engaging car satisfies all of our senses. Your first experience with a car is at a distance when you see it. You know, when you hop out of the car and you step away, do you have to turn back to have a look at it? When you lift the engine cover, do you see beautiful mechanisms underneath? Or is it a plastic cover? What does the engine sound like? The engine should have a distinctive sound when it starts, when it idles, when it revs, when it's under load. It needs to be something unique. Is there distracting wind noise? Or do you hear the intake sucking in air as you're driving along? Does the car rattle or squeak? Or can you hear the tyres against the road? How do things feel in the car? How do the seats feel? How does the steering wheel feel? The gear shifter, the throttle pedal. These things are important. And as the driver, how do you feel the accelerations of the car? Can you smell the leather, the hot rubber, the brakes as they heat up? Or are you just smelling leaking fuel? An engaging car satisfies all of our senses. Number 2, an engaging car must have high-ish performance. We want to be able to feel that the car is something special, that there's a little bit more there than your normal car. We want to experience speed and acceleration. We want to feel that the car has a little bit extra, and that performance is accessible, that if as a driver you put in a little bit extra effort, you're going to get a little bit extra reward. Now there's no point building a car where its performance is so high that you're deeply aware that you're nowhere near the performance level. And I've always hated the term race car for the road, because it really does 2 things very wrong. First, it completely underestimates how much better race cars are than nearly all road cars. And second, it diminishes the importance of the road part and the environment that your average road will bring into this car, into this driving experience. The fastest car out there is going to be a high-speed record car. The best accelerating car out there is going to be a top fuel dragster. The best car for cornering is going to be a Formula 1 car. And none of those are suitable for your average road. So in this way, an engaging car needs better than normal acceleration, be able to maintain highway speeds without struggling, be able to change direction quickly, and all while operating on normal roads with bumps and varying grip conditions. So what we want, number 2, is high-ish performance. So number 3, a car needs to be predictable and controllable. We need a car that can be reliably driven at the limit and not decide to do its own thing when you step over that limit. Furthermore, we want a car that feels comfortable over long distances so that you can feel you can control it over a long period of time. So Ergonomics are going to be really important for this car. Controls need to have the right weight to them and be in the right position for the driver. The interior needs to be built around the driver with good visibility and all the relevant information easily accessible. The steering needs to be responsive and the gear shifting needs to be precise. So number 3, controllable and predictable. Number 4, the driver must have a connection to the car. It needs to be car and driver, not just car. The driver needs to feel that they're involved in extracting the performance from the vehicle. So that means things like traction control and launch control need to be limited, although they could be used sparingly. For me, that means the car needs to have a feeling of being analog. You want to feel the forces from the front wheel through the steering wheel. You want to feel that the throttle through your feet is attached to the intake. And it probably means that it's a gauge with a needle rather than some digital number. It also means that we don't want to hide mechanisms behind covers. When we're looking at the car, we want the car to be open to investigation, not hiding what makes it run. Now, in our conversations, Geoff indicated that the most engaging car he could think of would be a seat, a couple of wheels, and an engine. And I think he was getting at that the most engaging car is probably a motorcycle. But we're going to stick to cars because this is Car Design Workshop, not Motorcycle Design Workshop. Now number 5, and I think this almost could be the most important one, and that is that an engaging car has a story to it. Now as people, we depend upon story. So to be engaging, the car must be interesting. It's the reason why some people might hold on to a car because they think it used to be Jim Richards' Volvo, or they own a particular car because it's one out of 110 special editions that were made. Or it's the car they can't let go because it's the car that they drove on their first date with their partner. It's a part of why some cars get names. If you go down to ECU Racing and you talk to the people involved and you mention just the name Habibi, they'll be thinking of a car that digs up a whole heap of history of triumph and tragedy. The car has a story beyond just the machine and the parts and the assemblies. It goes right to the people that worked side by side to build the thing. And that really gets us to number 6 on our list of top 5 things that make a car engaging. And this one's special for those that when we're going to create our own cars. And that is the process itself needs to be engaging. Designing and building a car is a mammoth task. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. And if it's not engaging, if it's not interesting, then the job just won't get done. For me, that means part of the process needs to be new, that there needs to be learning involved. I love learning and there's a lot to learn about cars, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for this particular project. So that covers what I think makes an engaging car when we say create the most engaging car that I can. Now let's address the I can part of that statement. And this really covers 2 main aspects. The first, capabilities, and the second, resources. When it comes to capabilities, there's some things I can do better than others. I can calculate, model, and simulate things better than I can weld. I'm more comfortable working with composites than shaping aluminium. Now this means that in some cases I'm going to need to learn some things along the way, and in other cases I'm going to need to depend upon the skills and capabilities of others around me. And the other aspect of I can is resources. One of those is equipment. I'm going to be doing this out of my own workshop, not the place where I work. And my workplace is far less limited than my home workshop. Time is a limitation. I have 5 kids. That means there isn't a great abundance of time. Money's an issue. I have 5 kids, so that means there isn't a great abundance of money. And time and money are somewhat interchangeable. If I have money, I can pay for other people's time. And that's the plan with all the mountains of YouTube cash that will be surely flowing freely into my bank account. So it's at this point I want to bring it back to Geoff. After all, this video is for him. In his infamous post on the Formula SAE forums, he made a comparison between cars and different types of meals. You see, his RMIT car, very successful, was a simple, delicious chocolate cake, while our car at UWA was a fine restaurant dish of scallops. Both effective meals, but from very different chefs. The point being that the best car you can make is not going to be the same as the car made by somebody else. You also have to be clear on your objectives. There's no point just combining things from other good cars and hoping it's going to turn out okay. Ice cream tastes great. Steak tastes great. Ice cream and steak? Big mistake. So after some deliberation, I think the most engaging car that I can make will be something like a smoked brisket. A delicious meal made from a tough cut of meat that needs to be done at a low temperature over a long time. And while I might provide a good bread roll to go with it, please don't expect much in the way of side dishes. So hopefully I've been able to clearly define what this project goal is: to create the most engaging car that I can. Thank you for your time.